Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Alvin King, and welcome to our show. He said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. We are in our March for Art series. Welcome to our show. Well, hello, everyone. Again, welcome to He said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. Happy spring, everyone. When I last saw you guys, it was 70 degrees and you all were running around in shorts and tank tops. Ha ha, Mother Nature fooled you again, okay? Because this week it was freezing, ladies and gentlemen, and it's still cold. But again, I hope all of you are having a good time and are well and taking care of yourself because, as I told you last week, it's all a trick. Happy Friday. Whew. We are so ready for our show tonight. For the past 3 weeks, we have been in our March for Art series, and we wanted to do this because we thought that art could help us understand our history, our culture, our lives, and the experience of others in ways that cannot be achieved through other means. We also know that art can also be a source of inspiration, reflection, and joy. And tonight, we're going to continue our series with none other than visual artist Glenn Fry. He is with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and he is DC based. He is one of our artists that's right here in the city. He has an art exhibit going on, and we're going to talk about that later in the show. This week, for those of you who follow me, there was an event that happened this week that I want to share with you that was incredible. Every year, I go to an event called the Gershwin Prize Award held by the Library of Congress. It is by all intents, meaning, and purposes, it is a bipartisan event. And this year, the Gershwin Prize Award went to singer-songwriters Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And it was just an amazing, amazing event. I'm telling you, I've gone to others. There's been Lionel Richie, Gloria Estefan, Carole King, even Garth Brooks has even been a recipient of the award. But I want to talk to you about the show a bit because this particular show was really special for me, not only because I worked it, but Elton John has not only been an amazing songwriter, but he led the fight to eradicate HIV and AIDS for years. And in addition to that, he's also been an advocate for LGBTQIA plus rights and the community overall. And the evening was just so special. One of the highlights of the evening was a tribute to Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard actually died 26 years ago. It was a hate crime, and it was horrendous. And his friends were there to honor him. And the show will air on April the 9th, and you're going to see more of that. But the host of the night was Billy Porter. He was there. Metallica, a heavy metal band, they came and just brought the house down. Annie Lennox was there. Garth Brooks was there, who is an amazing person. Charlie Puth, who sang Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to see that show April 9th because you want to see it. And then this gentleman, Jacob Lusk, Elton John actually found him. He was on American Idol, but Elton John took him under his wing, and Jacob Lusk came out and he performed Elton John's Benny and the Jets, and it was just I mean, show stopping. Again, the show will come on April the 9th. And as I said, it was a bipartisan event. All of the decision makers from Congress was there, and I got a chance to meet Representative New York of New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, who was just so nice. She loved my jacket. She, came over and was just a wonderful, wonderful, refreshing spirit. So it was a night to remember. Again, April the 9th on PBS. Hope you will get a chance to see it. And we are in Women's History Month, and we are tonight going to honor Ava DuVernay, the incredible director with films like 13, Selma, A Wrinkle in Time, and Origin. Ava DuVernay has made it a point to put representation at the forefront of her critically acclaimed work. She has also racked up countless firsts. The first Black woman to win Best Directing Award at the Sundance in 2012. The first Black woman to get Best Director Golden Globe nomination, the first woman of color to direct an Oscar-nominated Best Picture film, and the first woman to direct a film that grossed more than $100 million domestically. Her work has made her the highest grossing Black woman director in American box office history. And When They See Us was nominated for 16 Emmy Awards, making her the first African-American woman in primetime Emmy history to receive multiple nominations in their career for directing. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in Women's History Month, we recognize Ava DuVernay, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, 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 wow. As I said, we are in our March for Art series, and we've had two incredible artists on the show, and tonight we're going to follow that same trend. So with further ado, let me get my guys in here first of all for the chat.
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
Greetings. Good to see you guys. Alvin, you were in high cotton last night, man.
It was Wednesday, and you are right. I mean, Bobby, all I could say is I'm not a starstruck person, but to be in that room with so many people that I knew I would never be in a room with. Like I said, the Congress, members of Congress. I was behind Chuck Schumer. I was sitting next to Amy Klobuchar. When Garth Brooks hugged me that night, I was telling you guys, I was like, he act like he know me. Oh. See, you know what?
Humility comes at various times.
I want you to know, I was glowing. My knees did not look like that. Okay. So you know what? You all are
I didn't say he was playing in cotton.
But the highlights are incredible. And again, I posted some clips on my social media page, but it was just incredible. I don't know who did that.
I don't either.
I don't know who did that.
My hands up here.
Our producer is crazy. Oh, he said it was a mistake. No, he didn't. Okay. But I wanted to talk to you guys. And first of all, before we get started, I know you've may not have heard the news, but Kate Middleton, she made a public announcement today that she had cancer after having surgery in January. And the media, in my opinion, because of who she is, they just have this need of having to know what's wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? And there's no privacy, but that's the price you pay for being that famous. You know what I mean? And when she made her announcement today, to me, it just seemed like that's not something that the British culture, they do. They don't tell you what's going on with them. But for her to make her announcement, I felt so incredibly sad because she had to do it to keep everyone at bay. And I just want to send a lot of love to her, 42 years old, and the possibility of stomach cancer. They haven't said what the diagnosis is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying what the possibility. could be.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel so sad. So I just wanted to send up prayers for, you know, the entire family, especially her kids. What is it? Charlotte, Louis, and George. I think those are her kids, you know, and the whole family. It's just really sad. It's just really sad. Really, really sad. So I wanted to bring that up. Can we say hello to our guests? If you guys didn't have anything to add to that tonight, to Kate Middleton and her situation.
No,
I didn't know if you did or not. You
wish
did?
her well. Yeah.
You good? See, he said he's in. He's in. All right. All right. So let me, Sharon, thank you for joining us tonight. Sharon, thank you for joining us. Michelle Bowie, thank you for joining us. Monica, Dwayne, JJ, to all three of us, you all, everybody wave to JJ because, you know, he treats us with such love.
Hey.
Kendall, thank you for being here. Rodney E., thank you all for being here tonight. We really have a great show lined up for you guys tonight. Okay, also, in addition to Kate, I also want to ask you guys, do you remember the Alabama woman, Carly Russell, who confessed to lying about being kidnapped and setting off a national search last summer?
Everybody was looking.
You remember her?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she pleaded guilty to criminal charges related to that hoax on yesterday afternoon. For those of you who don't know, Russell is a nursing student, the nursing student who called 911 on July 13th last year, reporting that she had seen a child on an interstate in Alabama. However, when authorities arrived at the location, she left. She wasn't there. So 48 hours later, they found her. She reappeared on July 15th, 2 days later, and her family said that she walked home. It took her 2 days to walk home. But
alien abduction.
It took her 2 days. Yeah, 2 days to walk home. Well, you know, she got sentenced, and she, after pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts for filing a false police report, and she will be under supervised probation for 12 months and must pay $17,000 in restitution to the city.
Wow.
And she has to complete 100 hours of community service.
Wow.
Okay? Apparently, that same thing didn't happen to Jussie Smollett. It did not, because
no, or the woman who
kind of similar.
Black man was trying to strangle her and her dog, but that's a different story.
Yeah, it is actually.
Boddie,
Totally different story.
Totally different story. But I just, ladies and gentlemen, I just want y'all to know that Carly is now in good hands, and she's okay. She's okay.
Yes.
She's confessed to the truth, or confessed, and she's okay. All right.
Well, speaking of good hands, New York attorney Letitia James is trying to get her hands on some property of you know who. Attorney General Letitia James has taken an initial step towards laying the groundwork for a possible seizure of former President, you know his name, I don't say it, assets in New York, Westchester County, as part of the $464 million judgment in former president's civil fraud trial. The New York Attorney General's office filed judgments in Westchester County, where former President Trump's golf resort and private estate known as Seven Springs is located. Now, this is all a first step towards seizing the assets. But today, and I mean today, of course, there's Trump Tower there as well. But today, in breaking news, the former president's social media company and the parent of his favorite digital communications platform, Truth Social, merged with a shell company on Friday, raising his wealth by about $3 billion and potentially providing him with a fresh source of cash to pay for his mounting legal bills. So he may have found himself, because I don't know if you guys were following this, but he was having a very difficult time trying to get the money together to meet this deadline that's coming up. But this merge could very well provide him the out that he's been looking for.
So he basically put his debt in his like baby name, like True Social.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And who knows who this shell company is that he's merged with and what's going to come of, you know, this Truth Social. I wish I had the money so I could say he merged with me and then we could just cancel it all out and get rid of Truth Social. But
you know, there is, and I think there's some people our viewers, I'm sure you all might be a little bit more aware of what's in the Bible than I do, but I do know that there's a quote, something similar to that at the end, you're gonna wear the devil's name on your head or something. I'm going to find that quote, ladies and gentlemen, because that just came to me. You're going to wear the devil's name on your head. There is a Bible verse that talks about that, about people wearing the devil's name on your head when you are walking in the wrong direction or something. And I shouldn't even try to quote the Bible that way, but I
He's
saw
going
it.
to bring it back. He's
I
going to bring
saw
it
it.
back. He's
I
going to.
saw it. I'm gonna bring it back, ladies. I promise you, it may be next week's show, but I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back
At the very least, I think
at the very least,
that you reap what you sow.
May everyone who's helping him go where it's hot. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I just gotta check and make sure I ain't got Bobby written over my head.
You wish you had Bobby written across your forehead. Bosh, tell us something else. Come on.
Well, I just have to let you guys know that the nonprofit that gives out awards on behalf and in the name of former Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has forced the Opperman Foundation to cancel the ceremony for the awards that they were going to be giving out this year in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Once they found out who the recipients were, the family was outraged and they were like, So the Dwight D. Opperman Foundation has presented the Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Leadership Award to accomplished winners like Barbara Streisand and Queen Elizabeth II since its inception in 2019. The RBG family condemns this year's selection of recipients. They chose 4 men, including conservative media titan Rupert Murdoch, who was conservative even in his heyday, and billionaire Elon Musk, who was not really having a great time after the Don Lemon interview has been circulated. So the Ginsburg family blasted the selection last week, saying the decision to honor those people is an affront to the memory of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her values. And they said they've strayed far away from their original mission for the awards, and they're not supporting it at all. And on Monday, the foundation chair, Julie Opperman, issued a release saying that they have canceled the April ceremony. What do you guys think about that?
I'm glad that they did. I'm glad that the family spoke up. But why didn't they consult the family in the beginning?
When you have trust in someone and an organization, you're like, here's our vision. We're going that way, right?
Yep.
Yeah. At 4:00, we're going that way. And everyone's like, yeah, we're going to go that way. 4:00 comes around, people grabbing their keys. Somebody's going to McDonald's and Burger King. So
that's an analogy.
But
it's true, right? You have been in those situations where you're like, all right, everybody, it's 4:00, let's go. Yeah. And you turn around and you're like, where are y'all going?
And that word you use, trust.
Yeah.
Yep. Trust.
I applaud their family for really, and I guess people could very much kind of align when Luther Vandross's family kind of stood up for his legacy with the whole Madonna thing. I don't see them as the same, but I think people could at least say that there is something about a family standing up for the legacy of their loved one, even after they are gone. And of course, being the trailblazing woman that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, it does feel like a slap in the face that these people who act in such a way that's so contrary to her life would be the recipients of this award.
I just don't understand it. I agree with you totally, Bobby. And I'm just going to go back to, I don't care if it was 4, it could have been 3:59 and y'all had to leave at 4. You talk to the family, you get them involved, you say, this is what we're going to do. And then, so I'm gonna put the onus on the family to say, did you ask them? Who are you honoring? Who's going to be the recipient of this honor?
Yeah.
Or of this award in honor of, RGB.
I mean, they should put it forward. They're like, who are you considering? Because if by the time they get to who are you honoring, letters have been sent out, et
Right.
cetera, et cetera.
Well,
So
yeah.
you're saying they should be down back into how many letters have we received?
Right.
But I
Right,
agree.
right.
I think it's the obligation of the foundation to at least say to the family, here are the people that we are considering offering this to in this upcoming year, to give the family the opportunity to be like, no, we think not.
And
That's
not to
what
do it, not to do it when I know the award ceremony was going to be at the Library of Congress. So, and so that had to be canceled April 13th.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I heard that, right. So I know that was canceled. We had Michelle Bowie made a statement, and
What's
I just want to
Michi
make
talking about?
sure Michi was talking about something. I think it was about that person getting money. I think it was, and it says if this company that did this merger is from Saudi Arabia or Russia, trust and believe that those documents that he held on to know that he sold some American secrets. I long for the day that we no longer hear 45's name. Pass that plate. Pass that plate. Pass that plate. Pass that plate.
Michi, you sound like you got a shank in your pocket. I mean, dang.
Trust me.
Okay.
She's got a lighter. I know that because she's used it on somebody. She may not have a shank, but she lit somebody up literally.
I mean, but no truer words have been said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
it does make you wonder what was sold along with that
something.
merger. Yeah,
something, and we will hear it. We will hear about it again, whether he's in office or not. Something is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys. So are you guys ready for our show tonight? We have another incredible artist here.
Absolutely.
Again, he's right here down the street, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So if you guys are ready, I want to go ahead and introduce him and get him on here.
Let's bring him in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Glenn Fry is a visual artist based, again, in Washington, D.C., that has been specializing in silk screening for the last 20 years. His influence ranged from a childhood love of coloring books and cartoons to his appreciation for most things vintage, including advertisements, television and film, fashion, music, and pop art movement. Glenn's artistic style is comprised of various elements, including photography, illustration, painting, as well as screen printing. He is proud to have created art for organizations right here in DC, the Federal Reserve Board, the National Geographic Channels, Lake Research Partners, and Paul Wise Law Firm, and in Herndon, Virginia, for the IBM Corporation. His work also hangs in many other venues, including restaurants, hotels, and office spaces. But tonight, Glenn is hanging with us, ladies and gentlemen, and you all are going to see his art because he's here. Please do me a favor and bring to the stage our special guest, Mr. Glenn Fry.
Hey, well,
hey, Glenn.
Hey, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you. How you doing?
Obviously got the memo about the hairdo.
I got the memo.
I got the memo.
Woo! We're all clean. We're all clean. Glenn, thank you for joining us tonight. Man, I've been following you for 2 years. And so it is an honor to share you and your work with our viewers tonight. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So, our viewers, they always like to hear something personal about our guests. And so, I'm not going to ask you too much. I'm not going to ask you, say what parties or anything you went to. I'm not going to do that. But my first question is, what are 3 things that you have noticed that attract buyers to your artwork?
Wow. I would say whether it's the people they recognize, I do a lot of portraiture work. So maybe the people they recognize, the bold, colorful style. Oftentimes I use words in my art as well. So I think those probably resonate with people the most.
Well, I'm going to tell you from my perspective. Can I just add, and you can put this in your numbers if anybody ever asks you again. Sure. Your art speaks to me.
Okay.
I walk into a room and every time I see it, I really have to stare because it's so inviting. I don't know if it's the color or the actual image or whatever, but your artwork, your touch makes your art speak to me.
Thank
And
you.
so and that is definitely from the heart. And we'll talk about where you all can see his art, ladies and gentlemen. But that's what it does. That's what it does for me. So thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Glenn, I know we're gonna see some of your art. You're gonna tell us and describe your art and your thing and as an artist and how you have carved out a space for yourself. But I want to know right now, how did you get into being an artist, the artist you
And
went?
you know, this was when I was a little kid. It was Saturday morning, coloring books and cartoons. When I was a kid growing up, we didn't have cartoons on all the time. Saturday was relegated today for cartoons, so that was a special day, and it was just a special time for me. And I think growing up, it always stuck in my head. Those were like precious memories. And then TV shows like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie came out later when I was in high school and that. And I remember have an affinity for Bewitched, particularly Darren Stevens, because he worked for an advertising agency.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, here's this guy doing these really cool art designs, drawing these things, and he's making a living. And at the end, he ends up marrying a witch. I'm like, wow, who doesn't want to have that kind of life?
That's
So that's initially what got me intrigued in it. And then all through high school and that, I studied art and then went to college for it.
So you wanted to end up with the witch. Who did you end up with?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I want to
Unfortunately,
ask
I didn't
you
win out
though.
on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Glenn. Say that again.
I didn't win on that part.
I hope he's listening too.
Oh, wow.
You said cartoons. Are there any particular cartoons that you like that inspired you, Glenn?
Oh, when I was a kid, I mean, Scooby-Doo, the Super Friends, Thundar the Barbarian, He-Man, She-Ra, all those were like big things for me growing up. Tom and Jerry, Bugs Bunny, all those things. They were
Wow.
great.
Wow.
See,
Now you see cartoons on all the time. They're on 24 hours,
Absolutely.
but I'm sure you guys remember when we were kids, we didn't have that opportunity. It was Saturday mornings. That was it.
No, it was Saturday mornings, a bowl of cereal sitting in front of the television for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. You knew the cartoons were over when Soul Train
true.
came on.
Yeah. Everyone back away from the TV. This is mine for the next 3 hours.
Indeed.
Absolutely true.
Bugs Bunny scared me, but that's all right.
Another show.
I grew up to like, but that is another show. But but it was a cartoon that I remember. Okay.
That's our cartoons that scared us as children show. But Glenn, obviously, I have had the pleasure of seeing some of your work here in the DC area. Alvin has spoken to it as well. Obviously, your work is in galleries locally. Tell us a little bit about that first gallery experience. It's obviously something that every artist aspires. Tell us a little bit about that first experience for you.
Sure. I been doing my art for 20 years now, full time. And in 2000, I moved in DC in 2000. 2008, I was offered a show in DC at a Gallery Plan B. And it was right during the heart of the recession, which was not an opportune time, perfect time to want to have a show. So I decided to do the show all about money. And I'm a firm believer in law of attraction. And that is that what we think about, we bring about. You want to think about being sad and broke all the time. That's the energy. That's what you're going to attract to. You want to think about being happy and prosperous. Focus on that and believe in that. You'll bring that to you. So I put that spin on my art, and I did this whole series about about money. And in a time when people were concerned about spending money, the last thing you want to do is buy a piece of artwork when they're worried about how they're going to pay their mortgage, their car note, etc. So I called the piece, the series was called Visualize Having. And it was all about, instead of focusing on not having money, let's get our minds twisted around the idea of having money. Let's focus on having money, because when we start focusing on it, we can start manifesting and bringing that to ourselves. And it was interesting because the very next day, the gallery owners called me and said, hey, the curator from the Federal Reserve wants to have a meeting with you. And I said, uh-oh. I was concerned they were going to say something like, you can't use the image of money on artwork and sell it. Meanwhile, the whole series sold that night. So I'm like, yikes. So I came in the next day and met with him, and he just went on about how much he liked the art. He wanted to see if I'd be interested in being commissioned by the Federal Reserve to do a series of art for them for their permanent collection. I was like, whew, after I picked myself up off the floor for not being by the Federal Reserve, I was thrilled. So I got to talk. I got to have a luncheon with the Federal Reserve and invite 50 of my friends and family to come. And I shared what I just shared with you. I said, isn't it amazing that here I am doing art of money? And I believe that visualize having it. Here I am, the largest institution in the world that deals with money. The Federal Reserve came to me to produce art of money, and I got paid money for doing it. So you see how it all came full circle? I was like, yeah, perfect story.
Total full circle. Total.
Yeah.
Did you get the security codes?
Ding it all.
Are you seeing a pattern in terms of him as a host?
I do.
Funny, charming, and good looking.
There you go. Come on, bring it home. Look,
And modest.
that whole word that you just spoke on visualization, Glenn, viewers, I hope you all wrote that down. He just gave y'all a word. Okay, he went from art to psychiatry. Okay, and then brought it back. So thank you. I know I received that. So thank you. You got to believe what you want. You got to believe in what you want to get what you want.
It's very true. It's like birds of a feather flock together. Whether it's people, misery loves company. It's all the same thing. It's the same idea that what you focus and give energy to, that's what you're going to draw, because we're all vibrational energy. So that's what I believe.
Love it. Love it. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great first gallery experience to sell all of your art. Really incredible.
Yeah, I was very grateful. Very.
Well, you know, I'm gonna. Wow, this just came to me. What do you see as your role as an artist, Glenn?
For me, myself, I mean, every artist, you know, thinks of themselves differently. I see myself as kind of reflecting back like a mirror. What is important in my life and what's in the people around me, like what's happening in our society today, whether it's through, again, I do a lot of portraiture work. So it's through maybe entertainers, singers, celebrities, you know, sports figures, politicians. When it gets to a personal level with people, you know, it could be their kids, their grandparents, things like that. So it's something that, you know, even though everyday people aren't going to be internationally known on a famous level, you know, having art done of yourself is something that is a keepsake. It's a family heirloom that you can hand down from generation to generation to generation. So, you know, when we're gone and no longer here, you know, we'll still be remembered somehow, you know, in the art that has been done of us. So that's one of the things I like to do, is just, you know, to help memorialize ourselves, you know, each person that I get to do art for, and what's been happening in our culture during my time on this earth.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the fun experiences or interactions that you've had around your art?
Well, one of my favorite stories is I did a piece of, again, here we go, talking about that law of attraction. Ever since I was a little kid, one of my favorite singers was Diana Ross. So I did this portrait of her back when she was doing Mahogany. She had a big afro, and I'm like, I want to do a piece of artwork of her like that. And my dream would be to have her, get that in front of her and have her autograph that. And that got to happen thanks to two of my friends, Troy Patterson and Jocko. If you remember Jocko, he knew Diana Ross, and so he flew when he was flying out to see her for Mother's Day. He said, I'm going to take that piece of artwork with me and take it out to her house and see if she liked it. And he showed it to her and she loved it. She's like, wow, I look good. And she's like, who is this guy? She's like, who is this guy? And so he was telling her about me, and she was pulling up my website. I'm like, Miss Diana Ross was checking out my website. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. So she autographed it for me. That was a big highlight for me. Very happy about that. I've gotten to do things. My favorite author, David Sedaris, did a portrait for him that he autographed for me, which is great. I've gotten commission work to do for the Princess of Saudi Arabia, for lead singer for Motley Crue, for gifts. I mean, I've gotten to do some really fun things with people because of doing portraiture work. So very grateful for that kind of stuff.
So great. So grateful for you. Now, what mediums do you work in? Because I've heard different things being said as you've been speaking about your artwork. What mediums do you work in? Sure,
I do. It's called silk screening. It's hard to explain unless you actually see it, but many people have seen someone silk screen on a T-shirt, an image. It's pretty much the same thing, where I use paints and squeegees to press through a screen to get an image onto the substrate. I usually work on wood, but I start out with photographs. I do some illustration. I do painting and silk screen. It's a combination of things to do that I do for my work. I work on glass, paper, wood, canvas, different substrates.
Okay. So it's all really about just getting that image onto some sort of surface.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The stuff that you put on glass, is light supposed to come behind it, or like
yes, I work on the back side of it so you can't actually touch the front of it. You don't want to scratch it, so I work on the back, and then I peg mount it off the wall so it like float mounts.
Okay, nice, beautiful.
Yeah,
I am so glad that we had this conversation and Vash brought that question up, because in our production meeting, Vash mentioned the word mediums, and I said, I don't know what that is. Yeah. I said, so I'm so glad that we have Glenn coming on, because if I could not understand what the whole term of mediums, what mediums do you work in? Now I got it. I'm not going to run out and being an artist at all, but now I get it. So thank you. I hope you all got that, because I honestly didn't know what that meant, what that was. As you were talking about your work though, Glenn, my question is, do you do commission work for people and businesses, or people or businesses?
Yeah, I do commission work for people, individuals, for their homes. If people want something done of their family members, spouses, kids, grandparents, their favorite singer, their favorite athlete, their favorite entertainer, whatever. I'd also do things, word has gotten around, that I do commissions for, businesses as well. Paul Weiss Law Firm downtown commissions me every time a new Supreme Court justice is appointed. They commission me to add to their collection. They started with Sandra Day O'Connor, and they have commissioned me to do all the Supreme Court justices since. So that's a fun, ongoing commission I get with them. Like you said, you mentioned IBM. IBM commissioned me to do all the presidents of the United States, which was really fun to see them done in pop art colors. This big, gigantic wall of people that, very not pop art focused. Yeah.
I could see that.
So people commission me all the time. Actually, 90% of my business is actually people coming to me, commission me to do art for them, either for their restaurant, for their hotel, for their office, or for their, homes, or as gifts to give to people.
And one last question on that. How does, I guess you not necessarily giving your secret away, but how does that work? Do they just come to you? And because I've never had a piece commissioned, so or even solicited for it. So if I was to come to you and I say, I want you to do an image of me, do I give you the photograph, or how does that actually work?
Yeah, I mean, many times I'll take photos myself. I'll do a photo shoot with someone, but many times people already have a photo they really like of themselves. Or if it's someone like, can you do something of my grandmother when she was 12? Well, I obviously can't go and do a photo shoot of her when she was 12. So I rely on photos that people already have. Because many people, we all kind of we look good in certain pictures, and we kind of want to go with the picture we look best in. But I mean, I've done many photo shoots with people as well, to create something new for them. So it's a combination of, it's really up to each individual person.
Thank you.
Well, I know there's probably a noted difference in terms of costs, obviously, when a corporation is commissioning a piece versus an individual. But creatively, is there a big difference between doing a work for a corporation versus an individual person?
No, not really. I try to be very fair with everyone. I don't ever try to take advantage of people with costs, so I don't elevate my prices when I'm trying to work for a company, even if they're, multi-billion-dollar company. That's not my, I think people respect you more when you treat them with respect. And I that's just what I do. I keep my prices the same across the board for people. So, that they know that, I have integrity, and I'm going to, treat them fairly.
Yeah. So the prices are similar, but creatively, is there a difference?
No, I mean, it can be more how involved people want it to be. I mean, if it's an installation, they want like 50 pieces, it's going to be a lot more, because it's going to take more time. But Yeah, but no, it's a very similar process for all of it.
Great.
Yeah.
So, Glenn, you had mentioned that you're a photographer.
Yeah, I take photos with people. Yep.
Now, you also do these multi-layered pieces of art. How often do your photography and your straight up artwork overlap?
Well, I started out with photo shoots first.
Ooh, okay.
With either a photo shoot or a photo that someone already has. And then from there, I manipulate it in a computer just to get an idea of the layout that I want to do, the color combos and stuff like that. And then from there, make my screens and mix my paints. It's a multi-layered process.
And your photography is really an integral part.
Yes, yes. And there's oftentimes I illustrate as well on top of all that stuff. So it's a combination. But yeah, it definitely starts out with photos.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we often ask our guests, particularly those who are artistically creative, is about inspirations, singers who've inspired singers and so forth. Can you tell us your inspirations, those who have influenced and impact your work?
Absolutely. Like, again, going back to when I was saying as a kid, cartoons and coloring books were a big, huge influence for me. And when the pop art movement was happening right when I was a kid, I mean, I was like, wow, this is so impacting. Here these people are doing these cartoon-like things. I look at Roy Lichtenstein, who did the comic book artwork, then Keith Haring, who did the Subway with all of his cartoon drawings, and of course, Andy Warhol. But all the stuff was looking very graphic and cartoony, so much of it. And I'm like, wow, it's like they can make this as an artist, as a living. It really influenced me. So, where I grew up in the small country town, every art was only considered art if it looked exactly realistic, representative, almost like a photograph. Otherwise, oh, well, I could have done that. It's always what you get. Oh, I could do that. Yeah, but you're not. It's something about creating something different that's not just photographic, always looking. It doesn't always have to look realistic. So that's what the pop art movement was about. It wasn't having to look realistic, but taking everyday products and seeing them as art for the first time.
Now, did you mention the town that you moved to DC from? Did I miss that?
When I was a kid?
Yeah.
I grew up in a town called Warriors Mark. And then after college, I moved to Cleveland. I was in Cleveland for 10 years.
Where's Warriors? Is that?
It's right in the middle of Pennsylvania, smack dab in the middle. So it's all farmland and mountains. Yes.
Wow.
Hey, PA. Hey.
I was going to say.
Yes. We have spent a little time in Cleveland, so I know that area well a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is the part of the show that I really love about this series, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to take you on a journey, and Glenn is going to talk about some of the art that he has provided for us today. So if we can, please, we're going to put the image up. Glenn, tell us about the art and what it means. Sure.
That's a fun piece. Those are both done in wood. They're about 50 inches tall. So a little over 4 feet. I did a show called WTF at a gallery here in DC called 1111. And the whole series was called WTF for Wow, That's Funny. And that stuff was just, some funny things that I thought would resonate with people.
I like that, but for probably reasons that I can't say on the show, but I like it. I like it. Okay. Let's go to the next. I like it.
Yeah, so I've had some people who are big into comic books. Obviously, I love cartoons, as I shared. There's a lot of people that are big into comic books. And Brendan, my friend here, you guys know, he loves comic books, so I did that for him. That's done in wood. It's a giant piece about 5 feet tall that I did for him because his favorite character was the guy in the middle whose name was Speedball. So did that for him as a gift.
Lucky Brendan.
Yeah. This is another one here for my funny humorous show at the gallery, Ford's Theater. I thought, this day and age, everyone's all about leaving reviews. And I thought, everything I've come to know about Abe Lincoln is that he actually had a great sense of humor. So I thought he would have, find a little bit of humor in this.
Yeah, horrible. Won't be back. No.
I won't be back.
Won't be back.
And is that a chair next to? Oh, that's a chair next to it, isn't it?
Yeah, right? It's just a chair. It's just a chair. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. This piece I did as soon as I got news that, we found out that the Queen was dead. I thought I would do something. I ran to the different local newsstands and checked out what publications were carrying, the covers for each one of those were doing. And I found this one on the New York Post when she was younger. Everything else was of her older. And I thought, I wanted to replicate this of her to commemorate her life. She's been around since all of us have been alive. And I thought, even though we don't live in England, she's such an iconic figure. So I replicated the cover of the New York Post right after she passed away. And that's done on wood too. So it's about 40 inches by 40 inches.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah, these are the ones I did when I first did for the Federal Reserve, part of the installation. But those are all done on glass and then framed up. And it went into rainbow spectrum. I did the rainbow spectrum because it was going back to my time reading the Bible and Noah's Ark. Whenever the God supposedly destroyed the world with flood, he gave Noah a symbol after the floods receded, and the rainbow was the promise that he would never destroy mankind again with floods. But I took the rainbow as a symbol of a promise that, and again, my story of visualize having, I promise that if you focus on the things that you want and believe and feel, you will get them. So that's why I went with the color of the rainbow, because for me, it represents promise.
Can we stay here for a second, Glenn? Are there prints of this that people could buy if they wanted? And
I don't have prints of that. I've done smaller prints individually of one at a time, but I've not replicated the whole series. But I mean, all my stuff now is one of a kind. So once it's gone, it's gone. But I am starting to do. Some people have asked if I could do prints, posters, smaller prints of things. So I can certainly do that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't do that. People just trying to be cheap. Tell them to pay the real money to get your stuff. You're manifesting and visualizing. Visualize yourself being able to afford some of Glenn's artwork.
Absolutely.
How much for just the corner? Buy the whole piece.
Now, Glenn, I want to ask: is this based from photography? These pieces here?
Yeah, it's all based. Well, I actually worked with the money, the denominations of money. I went in and manipulated them like crazy just to get highlights from different pieces. So you knew right away which, Lincoln was identified with the $5 bill, Hamilton with the 10. I graphically just put certain elements to help you recognize instantly without showing the whole bill. You knew right away which the denomination it was. It was interesting to do that series too, because I learned a lot about money and, the individuals on the money. They're not all presidents. Oftentimes people think they're all presidents, but they weren't all presidents. And just to see the different symbols on the money, like I really got to study the money up close and understand like the different designs. So it's pretty fascinating as I got to do that.
That's beautiful.
I love it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
This is my best friend. When he for his birthday, I did a piece for him, a piece of a portrait of him on his 50th birthday. So give you another idea of like some of the stuff that I do. That's on wood as well, all painted and silk screen. That's from a photo shoot that I did with him.
I wave because I know Arthur, and I know Arthur, and I do have a birthday coming up, Glenn. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
There you go.
It's coming up
for commissions.
I was gonna say, well, according to Vash, you better manifest some money.
Manifest it, baby. That's very nice. That captured Arthur very well.
Thank you.
Well. Yes.
Thanks. This piece here, another piece I did of Harriet Tubman. There's been a lot of talk about her portrait being put on a $20 bill, and I just have a huge respect for her. And there's so much symbolism with this piece here. When you look in the bottom right corner, it says UT, which HT, Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad 13 and 70. And that the 13 represents she made 13 trips on the Underground Railroad and rescued 70 slaves from slavery. And the piece is very dark because she did all of her
at night
journeys. What I come to understand was at nighttime. And so it's all about her coming out of the darkness into the light. And you see a giant, big, thick, like kind of cross in the center because she had a big, huge connection to God. And she loved God very much. So I put that cross in there. But, the green represented the fields and the blues and nighttime. And then the text in the background represents, or that doesn't represent, but the slave owners owned her and her brothers. When they ran away, he put an ad out trying to get them back so that he was going to pay money to bring them back. And that's the ad that he ran in the background. And then in the very top right, she said that as she navigated through at nighttime, the Underground Railroad, she followed the North Star. So up in the top right corner, I put a little North Star up there because that's what she followed at nighttime to help guide her from where she, from one place to the next.
And this is why we did this series.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Glenn. Beautiful. And Troy Patterson's on here. He said, "Hey, Glenn,
Hey,
I knew he was going to come on here. Hey, Troy, how you doing, Troy? Thank you.
Congratulations on your award, Troy.
Yeah, Troy has some of my work at his house. He's commissioned me to do.
See, okay.
Another piece, people love Madonna, love her or hate her. She was an icon as well. So, I've done many celebrities over the years, and this was a commissioned piece that people had me do for when she was young. Just a lot of symbolism in there, again, with her, the iconography, her mother, Mary. I mean, the mother, Mary there, she was very religious, a nod to her upbringing in Catholicism, the target bullseye in the background, everything she pretty much did. She hit the nail on the head. She was always on target. The little red string on her wristband there, her nod to when she was into Kabbalism. Then the little cherubs there represent each of the children that she adopted and had or adopted. There are a lot of gold in there because everything she touched turned to gold, in her lifetime. So that's what's going on there with her.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And
again, these two are like such iconic figures, right? And that's why I gave them, I even put barcodes on there because they actually became their own brands, right? You know them just like Madonna or Cher, their names without even having to hear their last name. So I created this piece as just, an homage to these great iconic figures. I mean, these athletes, these strong, beautiful women, these incredible, talented tennis players.
I do have to say that when I hear Serena, I am often torn.
Yeah.
Is it Williams or is it is it Samantha's cousin?
see,
Bring it back to childhood. Bring it back around. Bring it back around.
That's why we love him. And next, okay.
That's a piece I did at Diana Ross. She actually signed one for me that I have.
Troy.
She autographed for me in her hair, which is really cool. So that's what the piece I did. It's a 32 by 40 piece. Love that piece.
Gorgeous.
Well, Glenn, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Glenn Fry Art. We wanted to take you guys on a journey to see his work. And as you can see, it is incredible. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, Glenn also has an art exhibit going on right now called Art-O-Matic, and Glenn is running now through April 28th. Glenn, can you tell us a little bit about the exhibit and what people can expect?
Yeah, sure. Art-O-Matic has been going on in the DC area for years, but then COVID hit and then they stopped. But this is their first time back since COVID. It's the 25th year of doing it. This is my first time participating in it, but it's a non-juried art event. So there's 1,000 artists in this building downtown, 2100 M Street Northwest. It's a building that they're refurbished just temporarily. So they sell the building, but they're allowing artists to showcase this 7-week art show. So there's 7 floors with over 1,000 artists, and we each basically get a room, and then we have our own space to display our artwork. So you should check it out. It's a free event. If you go to artomatic.com or .org, you can get all the hours. It's open every day except Monday and Tuesday. Weekends, it's open from noon until midnight. It's a great way to check out a lot of local artists. And again, it's not juried. So you have all different levels of artists. There's some young people just starting out that this gives them a chance to be seen in front of people. And you have some people that are much more established as artists, but it's a great chance for all different kinds of arts, whether it's authors or dancers or visual artists like myself to perform. So it's a great thing to check out. And like I said, it's a free event.
Well, thank you. Glenn, first of all, let me go back to the beginning of the show when I said thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, Glenn. it really does mean the world that we got a chance, first of all, that you cleared your schedule to do this with us and be a part of this series. And I definitely, because of you and others who have participated in this series, I know that we're going to do it again. So I just want to say thank you and congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
I plan to visit Artomatic before it leaves. Bobby, perhaps we can go to lunch or something, since and maybe Vash will come down and we can go to lunch or something. How about that? We don't know each other. I've only seen Vash one time in 3 years. I've never met Vash. I've only met him one time. So we need him to come here more so we can be with him. But Bobby, I've been knowing Bobby for a long time. But I would love to come to your exhibit.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, we got to do that. What does Troy say? Some of his commission work is amazing, especially
mine.
Especially mine.
Exactly. Thank you, Troy, for showing off. Yes, we know that you have some commissioned artwork there.
So glad we
put a
can
picture. Post a picture on the he said something.
Please post a picture of Glenn. Thank you, Vash. Thank you. Well, Glenn, don't go away. We're going to bring you back. But again, thank you we're going to bring you back before the show ends. But thank you for joining us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, do whatever you need to do. But please, we want to see your applause for Glenn Fry.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Hey, boy.
Lovely.
You know, this series is really turning me out.
We've loving it. Great
for our artists, and we have one more spectacular artist coming. But the 3 artists that we have seen, I really plan to support every last one of them. I might have to do it by year, but I'm going to support them because all of their work is incredible.
They're great.
You've already supported them. We have brought them to a wider audience.
And that's why Vash keeps me in line, because
uplifting you. I am the wind beneath your wings.
They can't pay their mortgage with that.
Beneath my wings. But yes, they can. But you know, well, that's another talk show. Okay. But who's this?
Kendall.
Thanks, Kendall. Thank you. Well, you know, next week, we have another incredible artist that will be joining us, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Desmond Beach, and his artwork is incredible as well. And we are be on the show. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, Bobby, you know of Desmond's work. Is that correct?
I do. He's a dear old friend, former educator who just decided to pursue his dream as an artist and has just done some incredible work. So I'm really looking forward to introducing him to the He Said family.
Lovely.
I have peeped some of his work. So he left education to go do what I've seen, the work.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's good. He's good. You guys are in for a treat next week.
I'm looking forward. Again, this series has been great. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, we cannot leave you without giving you our words of the week. And for this week, it is, there is no right way to make art. The only wrong is in not trying, not doing. Don't put barriers up that aren't there. Just get to work and make something.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay,
Lisa,
something.
Lisa, just
make something. Well, you know, hopefully you guys have a great weekend planned. We're going to bring Glenn back so we can say farewell to him in the right way. So thank you, Glenn. Thank you. But again, thank you for joining the show, ladies and gentlemen. Please tune in next week. We have another great artist that will be joining us. And also, Troy, if any of you have any of Glenn's artwork, please post it to our He Said Live on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Or you can send it to us on our IG. He said Live. We want to see it. Okay, Troy, I expect to see something from you soon. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, you all have a good weekend. Stay warm. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of He Said.
You
all take care. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Peace.
Night, everybody.